What separates a billionaire from everyone isn't luck, it's how they think. Kirk Kerkorian proved this across 6 decades of deal making that redefined the entire industry and generated astronomical returns when others saw only risk. From an eighth grade dropout flying cargo planes to becoming one of America's most successful investors. Kerkorian didn't follow conventional wisdom, he created his own. When everyone else was buying high, he was positioning for the crash. When industries were written off as dying, he was quietly accumulating control. When competitors played it safe, he was placing billion-dollar bets that seemed insane until they paid off spectacularly. His track records speak for itself. He built the Las Vegas Strip's first mega resort, bought and flipped MGM studios twice for massive profits, accumulated nearly 10% of General Motors, and used activist tactics to unlock shareholder value. Turned a small airline investment into a trans world airlines. Each move wasn't just successful, it was a clinic in strategic thinking that his competition couldn't replicate. But here's what makes Kerkorian approach so valuable. His principles are learnable. Behind every headline grabbing acquisition was a systematic approach to opportunity recognition, risk assessment, and value creation. He didn't just get lucky 50 times. He developed a repeatable framework for identifying asymmetric bets where the upside far exceeded the downside. The business lessons embedded in Kerkorian's career aren't just historical curiosities. They're actionable strategies for anyone serious about building wealth and making better strategic decisions. Whether you're evaluating investments, timing the market entries, or navigating industry disruptions, his playbook offers a masterclass in thinking like a true capitalist. And here's the first lesson. First lesson from Kirk Kerkorian, and is called the calculated plunge. So Kirk Kerkorian saw no point in placing small bets when the potential payout justified the risk. In the early 1960s, despite TIA, Trans International Airlines, having only 250,000 annual profits, Kirk committed to acquiring a 5 million DC-8 jet. While financially stratospheric and a crapshooter's dream, he knew the market. He secured funding by leveraging his gold-plated reputation, and this all-in move transformed TIA's earnings to 1.1 million in its first partial year, propelling its net value into millions. Now, how can you apply this? Well, identify a high potential, high opportunity cost, do your thorough research, keyword thorough research, and due diligence. If the numbers and your strategic understanding align, don't be afraid to make a significant focused investment, even if it feels daunting. All right, so here's strategy number 2, the gut check analytics. So Kirk combined his comfort with risk and intuition, which is the gut, with calculation and analysis, which is math, to make sound bets. He meticulously calculated fuel for challenging ferry flights, estimated the value of crashed Constellation before buying it, and penciled out flamingo profits on a napkin. His plan for the DC-8 was smart, ambitious idea, validated by analysis. However, his 8.6 billion city center project, conceived during a boom, was delivered into a great recession, demonstrating that even the best calculation can be undone by unforeseen large-scale market shifts. So how does this apply to you? Well, encourage a decision-making process that blends data analysis, financial modeling, and market research with the seasoned judgment and intuition of experienced leaders. For major capital expenditures or long-term ventures, conduct sensitivity analysis and stress testing to understand vulnerability to severe economic downturns. Strategy number 3, the asset archaeologist. So while others saw a tired old MGM with its run to box office losers, Kirk Kerkorian saw hidden value. In 1969, he waged a takeover battle of MGM Studios, calculating its actual value closer to $69 a share against a market price of $25. He recognized the immense worth of MGM's vast library of classic films, music publishers, record company, overseas studios, and significant real estate holdings, positioning himself for substantial future gains by acquiring undervalued assets. Now, how does this apply to you? Well, look beyond a company or asset's current performance and market price. You got to dig deep. You got to identify the value with its underlying components, such as intellectual property, real estate, brand equity, or unutilized capacity. If you're liking this so far, hit the subscribe. Now, while we talk about the next strategy, it is called the agile investor. Kirk was never afraid to pivot, rapidly shifting capital to capitalize on new opportunities. After challenging experience with Studebaker Management following his initial sale of TIA, he bought the airline back, sold it again for a significant profit, and immediately invested a large portion of his gains, which is 900, close to $1 million, into 80 acres near the Las Vegas Strip. This decisive move from the regulated airline business to the burgeoning Las Vegas property market showcased his strategic agility and willingness to abandon a successful path for one with greater and perceived potential. Now, how can you apply this strategy to your business, to your venture? Well, you got to regularly assess your current investments or business focus. Be willing to quickly reallocate capital and attention to emerging opportunities or away from unfavorable situations, even if your current path is seemingly stable. All right, the next strategy is called focus stakes. So Kirk evolved his gambling style from chasing losses to being more patient now, more disciplined. Walking away once he made his intended bets, he applied his disciplined edge to real estate investing. After becoming a paper millionaire from the Studebaker deal, he invested most of that income into a single large 80-acre property in Las Vegas. This wasn't a scattering of small bets, but a significant focused investment aligned with his overall strategy for the growing leisure industry. Choose your battles. Okay, you have to choose your battles. Your time is very limited, so you got to make sure you are focusing on the right type of battles. So rather than scattering small bets across many opportunities, concentrate significant capital and resources on a few high conviction ventures. Define your investment thesis and stick to your plan. All right. Next one is called the trust multiplier. Despite being an 8th grade dropout, Kerkorian built an impeccable reputation for integrity, hard work, and flawless credit. He never defaulted on a loan, and his handshake was a binding contract. When seeking a $5 million loan for the DC-8 jet, an amount far exceeding TIA's value, his gold-plated reputation and impeccable credit were crucial. He convinced Douglas Aircraft to sell him the jet based on his track record, credit history, and the logic of his plan, demonstrating how his trusted reputation and established relationship allowed him to secure deals that would have been impossible for others. Well, what you have to do is you have to build and maintain an impeccable reputation. A reputation of integrity, reliability, and financial responsibility. Your character and established relationships can become your most valuable assets, opening doors to opportunities and inaccessible through traditional means. All right, Oh, what? There's one more coming. We keep this real, we keep this raw, and I hope you're enjoying it so far. All right. The next one is called the Power Duo. Kirk was a master delegator who built a complementary executive team. For his Las Vegas operations, he hired Fred Benninger, the cost conscious Prussian accountant and the guardian of the bottom line. Alex Shofi, the blunt expert operations man. Despite their contrasting styles and occasional clashes, Kirk valued their honesty and expertise, empowering them to manage details while he focused on the bigger picture. This effective team allowed him to pursue other ventures with confidence. So, when you're building a leadership team, seek out individuals with diverse, complementary skill sets and personalities. Delegate effectively and create a culture where direct, honest feedback is valued, even if it challenges your own ideas. All right, the last, not no, not the last yet. All right, it's the strategy is called the exit advantage. The Kirk Kerkorian's distinct negotiation philosophy was you can always walk back in again. So here's a negotiation tactic for you. Okay, this perspective gave him a significant leverage during high stake negotiations. His willingness to walk away, even if internally he felt he only had a deuce, which is a low card, was perceived by others as a position of strength. This established tactics allowed him to push for better terms or simply exit if a deal wasn't right, knowing he could re engage later without burning bridges. Keyword re engage without burning bridges. All right, so never appear desperate in negotiations. That's the worst thing you can do is appear desperate. Be genuinely prepared to walk away from the deal if the terms aren't favorable or if it doesn't align with your core strategy. This willingness to disengage can create significant leverage and often leads to more favorable outcomes or protests you from bad deals. The next strategy is called that last strategy was a really good one, a negotiation tactic that was a something that I'm going to implement in my negotiation style. All right, this one is called the brand guardianship. Kirk recognized the enduring value of powerful brands. When selling the original MGM Grand Hotel to Bali, he acted like a chess master, including a crucial clause that Bali could only use MGM name for 3 years. He paid 1.4 million just to preserve his rights to the hotel name, the logo, and the famous lion. This foresight allowed him years later to form a new company, MGM Grand Inc., leveraging the powerful three magic letters, the iconic lion logo for his subsequent highly successful Las Vegas ventures. When divesting assets or spinning off parts of your business, proactively identify and secure critical intangible assets. What are some of those assets? They're brands, trademarks, intellectual properties, key patents that hold long term strategic value for future opportunities. Don't underestimate the power of brand recognition. And Warren Buffett talks about this. There's value in brands. Why did he buy Coca Cola? Why did he buy See's Candy? Why did he? The things, it's another moat. Brands are a moat. All right, strategy, indirect control play. This is the last one. After acquiring 25.5% stake in Columbia Pictures, Kirk was restricted by agreement from buying more shares. Instead of buying more, he began pressing Columbia management to use cash reserves to buy stock. This sophisticated financial maneuver reduced the number of shares outstanding, which had the notable side effect of increasing the percentage that Kirk owned as well. This allowed him to effectively boost his proportionate ownership and influence within the company without spending additional capital. So, how does this apply to you? Well, explore alternative financial strategies to increase your stake or influence in a company, especially when the direct share purchases are restricted. Share buybacks, when strategically deployed, can be a powerful tool to increase shareholder value and consolidate influence for large investors. There you go. Top 10 business lesson strategies from Kirk Kerkorian himself. If you actually, I created a video about James J. Hill. He is known as the Empire Builder. It's going to be somewhere on the screen. Click on the screen if you want to watch that. If you haven't already, subscribe and stay tuned for my next video, which is going to be Kirk Kerkorian's mental models, his decision-making framework when it comes to hiring, core principles. How did he approach his leadership styles, his innovation tactics, partnerships, networking, scaling mechanics? I think it's going to be very valuable. So hit the bell and stay tuned for that one. Peace.